Goblin launch detected.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. with free weekly content and free shipping on orders over $150. You can save 5% site-wide by using the promo code MTGMudsta. And 401 Games, Canada's one-stop shop for trading cards, board games, and hobby supplies. They've got an amazing loyalty program and an easy-to-use and robust buy list. And if you use the promo code MTGMudsta, your first purchase of MTG Sealed and Singles will be 5% off. If you're looking for a direct way to help the channel, please consider joining my Patreon and becoming a member of the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, and welcome back. For today's patron shoutout, we have Gaston Ramirez. Thank you for supporting the channel, and let's get into today's game. In today's game, Arja has built the newly released Amalia Benavides Aguirre, and hopefully I've said that correctly. He keeps Temple of Silence, Swamp, Reliquary Tower, Talisman of Hierarchy, Priest of Fell Rights, Kambal Console Allocation, and Village Rights. Matt is playing Liliana Heretical Healer, keeping 2 Swamps, Exsanguinate, Drag to the Underworld, Liliana Vests, Soul Ring, and Cabal Coffers. You may remember him from my Modern with Mudsta series, but Sam is joining us playing Gorion and Karuga, keeping Generous Gift, Monster Manual, Dread Linorm, Croson Tusker, a Forest, a Plains, and an Island. Last but not least, I have switched from Shorakai to Greasefang, and I'm keeping an Okaiba Reckoner Raid, Entomb, Godless Shrine, Karn Sillar Golem, Solemn Simulacrum, Temple of Silence, and an Unmarked Grave. Matt wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws, plays a Swamp, and casts a Soul Ring. I draw and play Temple of Silence, which comes in tapped, scrying 1 and keeping it on top. Arja follows my example, playing his own Temple of Silence, which comes in tapped. Sam's enjoying all these tap lands, playing a Blossoming Sands, and gaining 1 life. Matt plays a Swamp for turn, and then casts Liliana Heretical Healer. I just play a tap Godless Shrine. Arja draws and plays a Swamp. He then pays 1 white and 1 black for Amalia, and passes to Sam. Sam's all in on his life gain action, playing a tap Selesnya Sanctuary to bounce his Blossoming Sands back to hand. He then moves to his end step, discarding a card and passing. Matt's got a Cabal Coffers for turn, and then pays 2 for an Endless Atlas. Going to combat, he swings Liliana at Arja for 2. He then passes, and during his end step, I cast Entomb, going into my library to find Parhelion 2, and then moving to my turn. My turn has a Tainted Field coming in, and I then cast Greasefang. Moving to combat, I target Parhelion with its ability, but Matt responds with Drag to the Underworld, taking out Greasefang. Parhelion then comes into play, but with no one to crew it, I move through my phases, and then have to bounce it to my hand at the end of turn. Arja plays a Swamp for turn, and goes to combat. He swings his commander at me for 2, which I take, and in his post-combat main phase, casts Kambal. Sam's got an island for turn, and then casts Gorion, and passes to Matt. Matt starts his turn off by playing a Swamp, and then casts Liliana Vests, which triggers Arja's Kambal and Amalia. This has Arja revealing Sorin Solemn Visitor on the top, and he keeps it there, and Matt's Planeswalker then resolves. Matt then downticks Liliana, going to find a card to put on top, and passes to me. I play Talisman of Hierarchy, which triggers Kambal and the Amalia chain again, and Arja continues to explore, revealing Sorin and keeping him on top. With no land to play though, I have to pass. Arja draws and plays a Reliquary Tower, and then casts the Sorin that he'd revealed. He then upticks Sorin to give his creatures +1/+0 in lifelink, and goes to combat. He swings Amalia at Sam, and Kambal at Liliana Vests. Neither Matt nor Sam block, with Liliana dying, and Sam taking 5 commander damage. Arja then gets to explore twice, and he puts to graveyard another version of Sorin, and then puts a Godless Shrine to hand, and with nothing else, he passes. Sam plays a Forest, and then swings Gorion at Sorin, dealing 3, and passing to Matt. Matt draws, and goes to combat. He takes out Sorin with Liliana, and then casts a Nurkana Revenant. He's unfortunately missing his land drop though, and passes to me. I draw and play Toxic Deluge, paying 6 life to try and wipe the board. This triggers Kambal and Amalia, and I get drained for 2, and then Amalia explores. This is Arja binning a Diabolic Intent, and with a Deluge still in the stack, Sam responds by casting Scale Deflection. However, this triggers Kambal again, and Arja is able to explore a non-land card, which pushes Amalia outside of the Toxic Deluge range. I then play a Nokiba Reckoner Raid, draining everyone for 1, and passing turn. Arja draws and plays Opal Palace. He then plays Priest of Felrites, and then his own Talisman of Hierarchy, as well as a Skull Clamp. Moving to combat, he bashes me for 7 with Amalia, and justifies it because I tried to wipe the board. He then passes to Sam after that. Sam draws and plays the Blossoming Sands, gaining another life. He then goes to combat, hitting Arja with Gorion and passing. Matt draws and plays a Swamp. He casts Reanimate to bring back the Nirkana Revenant, losing 6 and then passing turn. I draw and then uptick the Reckoner Raid in my main phase, draining my opponents for 1 again. I then play a Plains and cast the Weatherlight. Arja's turn has him drawing and playing a Reassembling Skeleton. He then pays the 1 to attempt to equip it with Skull Clamp, but Sam responds with Generous Glyph and blows up the Skull Clamp. Arja then shocks in the Godless Shrine that he'd revealed earlier, and then uses the Priest of Felrites to bring back Kambal. Going to combat, Arja swings Amalia at me once more for 7, and then passes to Sam. Sam draws and plays a Virtue of Strength to get his planes back. This triggers Kambal, and Amalia then explores and reveals a Blood Artist off the top. Sam then plays an Azorius Chancery, bouncing his Blossoming Sands back to hand, and goes to combat. He swings Gorion at Arja again, but Arja blocks the Reassembling Skeleton this time, and then casts Village Rites, sacrificing it and drawing 2. He then passes, and during Sam's end step, Matt activates Endless Atlas. Matt draws and plays a Blighted Fen. He then activates the Atlas again, drawing a card, and then plays a Grave Titan. With nothing else, Matt passes. I draw and then flip the Reckoner Raid into Nezumi Road Captain, and then play a Swamp for turn. I cast a Solemn Simulacrum, going to find a basic, and passing to Arja. Arja plays a Silent Clearing, and casts Blood Artist. Going to combat, he swings Amalia at Sam, and before moving to blocks, Sam cycles Shark Typhoon, and makes a Shark token, and then blocks it. The Shark token dying triggers Blood Artist, and drains Sam for 1, and Amalia gets a trigger. Arja then sacrifices the Reassembling Skeleton again to Angelic Purge to try and exile the Nirkana Revenant. With the skeleton getting sacrificed, he gets a Blood Artist trigger, draining Matt this time, and Amalia then explores. Arja reveals some Burial Rites and puts it into the graveyard, and then passes after that. Sam draws and plays a Plains. He goes to combat and continues to swing Gorion at Arja, who this time around blocks with an Elephant token, and the Blood Artist drains Sam for 1. Amalia triggers as well, with Arja keeping the Eerie Interlude on top. In Sam's second main phase, he casts Cast Off, destroying all non-giant creatures. Kambal drains Sam for 2, and Arja changes his mind on the Eerie Interlude as he explores again, and decides to put it to graveyard. Sam then gets drained for a total of 9 from the Blood Artist trigger, and after that, Sam passes. During his end step though, Matt casts a Thrilling Encore, and gets all creatures destroyed this turn back under his control. Matt draws and plays a Ghost Quarter. He goes to combat, swinging the Nirkana Revenant at Arja. Arja then takes the 4, and in Matt's second main phase, he taps enough to cast an Exsanguinate, where X is 13. This has him draining us for 13 and gaining 39 life. With nothing else, he passes. I draw and play a Soul Ring, and then recast Greasefang. I follow that up by casting Unmarked Grave, and getting drained by Kambal, dropping to 1, and then going to my library to find a Cyber Ship, putting it to my yard as well. Moving to combat, my Greasefang trigger brings the Cyber Ship back, and I then crew it by tapping Greasefang and swinging at Matt. He takes the hit, and I put the top 2 cards of his library into play as my Cybermen. I then pass, and during my end step, Arja brings back his reassembling skeleton from the graveyard. Arja draws and sacrifices the Silent Hearing to draw again, and then plays a Plains for turn. He recasts his commander, and then a Woe Strider, passing to Sam. Sam draws and plays that Blossoming Sands once more, gaining another life. He then replays Gorion and passes to Matt. Matt's turn has him drawing and activating Endless Atlas, drawing again. He then has his own copy of Solemn Simulacrum to join mine, and then activates Cabal Coffers. This makes him a bunch of mana, some of which goes into Turgrid, and he then pays 2 mana to pump the Nurkana Revenant, and then moves to combat. He swings the Revenant at Arja, and my Solemn at Sam. Arja jumps with its Goat token, while Sam blocks with Gorion. Arja then sacrifices the Goat to the Woe Strider, scrying 1, and Solemn Simulacrum then dies, and Matt draws a card. Matt also gets some Blood Artist triggers, and he drains Arja with them. After combat, Matt then taps out to cast Torment of Hailfire, putting 6 into the X. This kills Sam, and I discard my hand and sacrifice most of my board to stay alive, but it'll all come back into play under Matt's control. It turns out one of those face cards is Ayara, and as she enters, the drain kills me anyway, and Matt also gets a Liliana of the Dark Realms. Matt then downticks her to take out Amalia. With her dying, Arja decides to put her to the graveyard, and then Matt passes turn. Arja draws, but having found no answer, and with nothing in hand to stop Matt's onslaught, scoops it up, and Matt wins the game. Game review time. This video was 42 minutes and 12 seconds, and unfortunately, all of my opponents played Pioneer, so they knew the kind of shenanigans I was getting up to with Greasefang. Unfortunately, I telegraphed the Parhelion play, although I really couldn't have hidden it any better, and it's a shame that Matt had that beautiful piece of removal to take me out. That unfortunately really set me back, as I had to wait a couple turns before recasting my commander, which, coupled with the fact that I was missing land drops, didn't make for a great first showing. I think Sam's Gorion deck suffered the same fate, as it seemed like he had a decent opening hand, but struggled with just drawing anything but lands. Between the Blossoming Sands, Azorius Chancery, and Selesnya Sanctuary, that's a lot of tap lands, and with 2 of the 3 bouncing a land back to his hand, he wasn't going anywhere fast. On the flip side, Matt had that turn 1 Soul Ring, which as everyone knows guarantees you winning the game, and although I don't necessarily agree with that statement, it did certainly seem to help him get his commander out early on. I think what really pushed it in favor was the back-to-back X spells on turn 8 and turn 9, which just completely wrecked us. Amalia stuck around for a long time for Arja, and he was getting some decent damage in. I'm surprised that he wasn't able to gain more life that game, considering Combo was out, but all of his opponents ended up playing very conservatively as soon as he came out. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.